my name is Carl Prince. I work for Siemens MBC at a factory based in Congleton in Cheshire. Now, it's actually a manufacturing facility. We employ in total about 500 people, but I work in the development department, managing a software team. Software team at the moment is around about 10 people based in Congleton, but we do joint developments globally. We have development teams based in India, China, some colleagues in Austria as well, and obviously in Germany, Siemens being a very German company.
My name's Simon Charleston. I work for Siemens in Congleton. I work in the Research and Development Department, and I am the mechanical team leader.
Yeah, so my name's Paul Dutton. I work in the head office in Frimley in the recruitment team, where I work in the entry-level talent recruiting graduates into Siemens UK. I work across all three sectors, so industry, energy and healthcare.
Typical day started with a departmental meeting with the manager of the development department, and he will be, in this case, cascading information based on his meetings he's had in the previous week over in Germany. So we're finding more and more about what's going on in Germany and how that impacts our development department. So obviously we take that information on board, and I will cascade that later in the week to my team. Following on from that, we had an afternoon where I was looking at meeting with the team members, one-to-one sessions we call it, in order to determine what they're working on at that time, any particular problems they've got, what I can do to help the engineers overcome that problem and what they need to be working on next. So we tend to manage things very much on that one-to-one session, as well as group meetings. Well, that took me through most of the day in actual fact.
Typical example of yesterday was in departmental meeting all morning. Then in the afternoon there was a lot of communication with the mechanical design team over in Germany, and also with the electrical design team, and there was a number of questions that needed to be answered so we could get the final build through, which is going through at the moment. So that's pretty much what I was doing yesterday.
A typical day for me would be screening candidates at CV level application, pushing them through to telephone interviews, conducting them, and also organising right down to the detail of the assessment centres.
Obviously, the economic situation as far as the world is concerned, we did have a downturn. We had a negative impact on our business globally, but we managed it extremely well as a business, and Siemens are now recovering very quickly. A problem we have at the moment is actually too many projects, not enough people to work on those projects. So we are actively recruiting at this moment in time. We are expanding rapidly, in actual fact. We want somebody who's well-rounded. We expect somebody, if they've got a good degree, they've got the technical knowledge, but they have to have a lot of the soft skills associated with working in business in order to be able to work as a member of a larger team. You can't have somebody who's technically brilliant but is very insular and just sits in a corner and possibly gets on and does things, but if he's not working with everybody else, you're not getting the great benefit of that individual. We also want somebody who is well motivated. We want somebody keen to do their work. We want them to come in and enjoy what they're doing. We don't want somebody who's just coming in 9 to 5. We want somebody who really lives the technology side of what they're working on and is very keen to make an impact on the business.
Well, applications through Siemens are all done on our online website, so the CV is attached to the application itself. So the first thing we will see will be the CV along with any covering letter which a graduate attaches. The key thing for me, as probably already mentioned, is that it needs to be up to date, and the CV will be ideally tailored to the role that they're applying for. You know, if they've got experience which relates to the role that they're applying for, then yeah, we need to know what that experience is and what they've involved. Again, the application questions, it does state on our application form that they will be assessed, and their application does depend on the answers to those questions. So we're looking for very detailed responses and very specific information, which we can get the information out that we need to know whether they will be a good applicant.
Really, key thing to do is to make sure your CV is right, make sure you've got a good covering letter to sell your skills, and when you come in for the interview, make sure you dress appropriately, and you turn up on time, and do some research. That's the other critical thing. Don't think that because you're coming to Siemens, you will be asked, what do we do? And it's always a good benefit to yourself if you can come back and say, well, I know that Siemens Congleton do this, but I also know that Siemens as a global company have divisions that do X, Y, Z. So show that you've done some homework, show that you're interested in the company and you've done some research on us.
Say, if they've got a good degree, we'd expect them to understand the technical basics, but it would be good if they can make sure they're on top of the technical basics. We will ask technical questions. So if they've covered op amps, if they're applying to be an engineer or a software engineer, we will ask some basic questions on that, and we expect them to be able to answer those questions. And an additional good thing to bring along is an example of their work, something they've actually done. You know, if they've done a final year project report, bring an example of the project report along. That can then be used as part of the discussion. Oh, what did you do on that? And then they can explain things to us. That's always very useful. Okay, relevant work experience would be brilliant. If they've worked in a development department making drives, excellent. Highly unlikely to happen though. But if they have something that can be potentially relevant, it will all add to it. So yeah, okay, if they've done work in the electronics field, that'd be very, very useful for us. But if they haven't done work in the electronics field, if they've worked at night in a bar or whatever it may be, they can still sell that as part of their soft skills. How they've worked as a team, how they worked with the team, examples of things they've done with that team. That can all come across very well, and that will give them an advantage over other people. If somebody's never worked as part of a team or as part of an organisation, that's a disadvantage. So you can see if they've just done something that you can apply to our organisation, that would be very useful.
The World of Work scheme seems to be just what we're looking for, really. We want graduates to come to us who have got more than just the technical skills, because everybody who does a degree should know that at that level they will have a certain number of a certain range of skills. What we also look for is the softer skills, the communication skills, the team working skills, and all the work that you do with the World of Work, where you're preparing people for interviews, you're telling them how to write a decent CV, and training them up with some of the skills that they will need when they come for interview, is going to make it's going to make the student's life much easier when they get there, and they'll be far more aware of what they're going to go through than if they don't go through the process.
Well, the whole World of Work programme will give the students an advantage over other people who haven't gone through the same process. It will show that they've got knowledge of a business, they know how a business works, but it's also associated with all the soft skills they're going to pick up, how they interact with the other people they'll be working with on a daily basis, how to just communicate simply with people. Or even do presentations. That's all very, very useful. But just sitting on in a group meeting, being able to contribute to the activities that are taking place, these are all the skills that they pick up. That this wow factor will give them an advantage over other people who haven't covered that.
The World of Work, it will give the students a lot of soft skills, particularly those that don't actually have a part-time job maybe at university, and they're transferable skills which they can use to go into one of the roles that we look for within Siemens. So I think it would definitely give them that edge that they need to apply for the company, yeah.